Hello, my name is Ashley and this is Faithful Rattos, and welcome or welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be reacting to some cages that my followers have sent to me, which is always a good video. People love this type of video. I love to make it, you guys love to watch it, people love to hear what other people have to say about their cages, and I had some really great submissions to show you today and I'm really excited about them. So let's get. The email says they were born in January, so they're quite young now. There is Gerda, who is a Russian Blue Berkshire Dumbo, and I apologise about mispronouncing this, but it says Hydrodis, who is a top A Russian Blue Agouti Berkshire. So this cage is a Slavic Empire 3, and she has DIY scatter guards, which I think are excellent. It's a really great idea and is a really nice laid out cage, especially for 2 rats. It's a really nice size. She has not too many hammocks, there's litter trays. The only thing is, oh, it says it. So their substrate is a thick layer of aspen, which is okay, and some Carefresh paper for texture. I wouldn't solely rely on Carefresh as it's quite, it's not absorbent enough basically, but it can be sort of mixed with other beddings. The bedding and nesting, they have toilet paper roll and shredded paper towels and sometimes pieces of fleece. Fab. And litter, they have two boxes and it's clean, dust-free cat litter. She says, I know it's controversial, but this is very low dust and their reputable breeder uses it without any issues. I would say if it's clumping, then don't use it. If it's made out of paper, cool. Clumping or clay type cat litters are not suitable for rats, but I can't really tell from this picture what exactly it is. Most of the things are DIY, which is a really good thing to show that a cage can be even aesthetic with DIYs, which is really fun. So she has said most of the things inside the cage is DIY, made out of cotton rope, angle iron, stuff from IKEA and Amazon. She sews her hammocks out of fleece and old pillowcases. The rope ladder is made of bamboo straw, and the acrylic tunnel is from a broken lamp at my job. So like all of this stuff is like really, really good. Like it's DIY, it's cheap, but it's still really nice and enriching, and it's a really lovely layout. So really thank you for sending it into it. So cage number 1. This one is from Matilda, and she has sent some photos of her girls. So she has 2 girls. I would just make sure that it's not clumping cat litter. That's the only sort of thing that I would have to say about this cage. And also, your rats are really cute, so you're welcome. Okay, next cage. So this is from Amanda, who is Riot's Mischief on Instagram and TikTok. I have 2 versions of the cage sort of sent in, and it's a really lovely layout. There are ropes and foraging toys and the IKEA tie holders and different sorts of toys, and you can see like there's this wheel at the bottom and some foraging toys in the middle, and this hanging bucket is really nice. Obviously it's not like a everything's all one aesthetic sort of cage, but that's fine. I would say depending on how many rats are in this cage, so I think the email says 6, I would say that the amount of hammocks is a little bit too many, and you could swap these out for different cage accessories. But it's a really nice setup, and it just shows that it doesn't have to look aesthetic to us to be a good setup for the rats. I always like to show those, even though I'm a very like naturalistic setup type of person. You don't have to do that, and your cage doesn't have to be that for it to be a good cage for them. Okay, so this is from Arctic Wolf. There is 5 girls that live in this cage, and it's the 2-level exotic nutrition cage. I think this must be something in America. I haven't really heard of this cage. If it's a similar sort of footprint to the Critter Nation, that's great. So they have the floor on the 2nd level. The cage has 3 water bottles and 2 small ones at the top. The bedding is the Small Pet Select Aspen. Okay, I know it's much harder to find appropriate substrates in America, so Aspen is a perfectly fine option. I would say it's not the only safe option though, and you can find safe, cheaper options in much bigger bills than I think the Small Pet Select comes in. It says they had 2 hammocks, 2 hanging fabric hides, plus 2 Sputniks. So I would say for 5 rats, that many places to sleep is quite a lot. So I would possibly look at swapping those items for some other things. Some of the foraging toys aren't in the photo because they were just being cleaned, and they have a 12-inch wheel. 12-inch is fine for does, but more space isn't bad for the wheel. I wouldn't worry about it too much though. I would say I'm just looking at these pictures and I really like this little toy that's like circle rope thing. I think it's really cool. I would say though, especially if you don't have rats who have any sort of like mobility issues, having the middle layer taken out can really open it up and allow you to have a more active layout, and that can be really beneficial for agility and keeping the rats, you know, active and things like that. But yeah, a really nice setup, and again, it doesn't have to be aesthetic, it doesn't have to be made with all stuff designed specifically for rats, but it still can be really enriching. I would just make sure to switch out some of these hammocks for other items. Number 4. So this is from Natalia. There is lots of foraging toys in this cage, so that's really, really great. It looks like there is some sort of wood shaving, possibly aspen. I don't know if it mentions on the email what exactly it is. I'm gonna scroll down and see. No, I don't think it does, but I really did enjoy these cages. They are a colourful and natural sort of layout, but they do look really nice, and yeah, it's just great. There's just a wide variety of textures and things and foraging toys, and I really like this one here in the middle, and yeah, it's great. Like, genuinely absolutely love it. I'm not like a blue cage sort of person, but it's really lovely. I really do like it. So I mean, a lot of these cages I don't even like, I don't have anything to say other than it's really nice and it's cool and I like it because they're really great. You do have a nice big tic-tac wheel, and at least it looks like a tic-tac wheel to me. And then you have DIY'd a wine rack here. Yeah, it's great. Well done. I think this might be number 5? Who knows? So this is from Laura, and she is in San Diego in California. So thanks for saying you like my videos. That gives me a bit of an ego boost. So the base is a cement mixing tub with a deep bed of cocoa coir mixed with a small amount of flaked hemp. It's not bioactive, but it's in the works for a second cage that will have an acrylic base. I would just keep an eye on that, and that is something you're going to have to change out. There are 4 large fleece-lined shelves and many small shelves throughout. A litter box with pellet bedding. Though they're definitely not litter trained, so it's more aspirational. Just keep going at it, moving the poos and leaving it there, and they eventually will get it, I promise. I promise. They've got water bottles and an open-topped waterer. They've got foraging tools, raw nuts and shells, fantastic. The hides throughout the cage have a mix of threaded tissue and newsprint, that's good. There's a roll of toilet paper so they can sort of, you know, get their own bedding, if that makes sense. I'm just going to go and look at the pictures. So I will say, based on the pictures that you sent, to make a more active layout, you could remove these shelves that you have fleece lined and use things like ropes and branches instead to make it more active and more physically enriching for them. And I would say you have quite a lot of hides and hammocks, so I wouldn't necessarily think that you need all of these hammocks. I can at least count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hammocks, and really 1 or 2 perhaps, depending on the size of the group, and then a couple of other different sleeping arrangements actually would be fine for them. But yeah, it's not a bad cage at all, and you've got the deep base, and yeah, there's a couple of improvements you can make, and I would recommend that when you have like ropes and branches that we get rid of these shelves, or at least a couple of them. You could have still remaining a couple, but I would take out at least 2 of them, I think. Thanks for your submission. Cage number 6. So this is a double critination, and there are Pickles, who is 2 years old, Benet, who is 1 year old, Churro, who is 1 year old, and a 10 a 10-year-old, that would be crazy, a 10-month-old neutered male. So there's 4 rats in this cage. Let's have a look at the photos. So there isn't that much sort of extra info on the email. So you have a nice large extra dig box as an extra to your base. I would say, as with a lot of these cages, you do have room for a much deeper base, and I would recommend. I'm not sure what size this wheel is, but it does, if you look compared to the rest of the cage, it does look rather big enough. I like this wine rack and some branches and tie holders and ropes, and it's a really good setup. There's not an over amount of hammocks. We've got a Spudnik for a bit of differentiation. But yeah, it's a really nice cage, and another one to show that like you can DIY a lot of stuff and it still be enriching and great for the rats. So thanks for the submission. And we're on to number 7, and this is Mona, and I really, really liked this cage submission. I think it was one of my favourites. So this is a bioactive cage. It's the Savic Raw Suite, so the SRS 95, and it's got the custom base all the way to the floor. At the time, there was 3 adult males in there, and there was adjustments for a 2.5-year-old boy who had HLD, and that's why their shelves is in there, and a ladder, and not a fully open setup, which is cool. But I would open it back up again then when that rat is no longer with you. You do say that you prefer to keep it in to provide extra floor place as well as climbing opportunities, but it doesn't sort of, when you sort of think about extra floor space, it's like unbroken floor space. So 2 different levels isn't more floor space. It's the same amount of floor space, because it's not like they can run a longer distance, if that makes sense, or like move around a longer distance. It can be helpful though when you have rats with HLD and things like that. It's not something that I think is like a be all and end all that a cage has to have the middle layer removed. I just think for young, active, fit rats, it's really beneficial for them to have the space to climb that whole time. And you can have things like shelves to help that out and to build more spaces, but I do think taking the middle layer out is really beneficial. So you use heavy absorbent bath mats on the middle level, as long as it's not stinky. I think it's okay, especially since you've got the bioactive base. But again, I do think, I don't want to like harp on about this, like removing them. I don't like it, because like it's old and annoying, I get it. But I do think that it's not necessary, and you can do a really great, more active layout when it's not there. You are cleaning the fabric stuff once a week. That's pretty standard. And yeah, I just love the natural things that you have in this cage. So I really enjoy this big piece of wood that you have at the back of the cage and the ropes. And I think there's some cork here at the bottom and what looks to be like a bendy bridge on one of these shelves. And I just really, really enjoy it. It looks very nice. I would say there's quite a few hammocks, so you could get rid of a few and add different ingredients, add different accessories. But yeah, it's a really nice cage, and there's foraging toys, at least 3 that I can count here, and lots of natural materials and different textures. Yeah, it's really great, and I really love it. Thanks for the submission. Cage number 8. So this is from Taylor from Oh the Mischief. I really missed seeing Taylor's cages on Instagram when they took a break from Instagram. It was a real sad time for me, because Taylor's cages are always amazing. So this one is no different. So it's bioactive, it's double cutination, and just look at the natural things and the climbing opportunities and the foraging opportunities, and it's just beautiful. Like A+. I don't know if this is the Coquette. I think it might be the Coquette like inspired cage that Taylor made and added these like little bows. Oh, it's just so cute and really functional and really great for the rats. There's not an over excess of hammocks. There's a wheel. It's bioactive. Like, it's just all great, and I love it. And thanks for sending it in, because I really, really love a good cage like this. So thank you very much. Cage number 9 is from Emma, and Emma lives in Sweden and currently has 2 male rats. So, and the plan is to have a group of 3 to 5 going forward. So they're going to be adding a couple more later on. Then when people write in these emails like thank you for your videos and things like that, it makes me feel like a really, I don't know, like a big imposter. But I'm really glad that my videos do help, especially when it comes to diet, because I think that's one thing that a lot of people kind of struggle with getting good information on, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, so you're planning to give a dig box or deeper bedding so they can use more of their natural instincts, which is really great. And there are water bowls and water bottles on every level, and just would love some tips. So let's have a look at the pictures that you've sent. Okie dokie. So I would say, as I've harped on about before, you can remove this middle layer and that gives you more space for climbing opportunities. I would just have a look at this toy here in the middle hanging off the red rope. It looks to me like it could be one of those like compressed sawdust and honey situations. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going like based on the look, but I would check on that, and if it is, remove it because it is really unsafe and can cause impact. There's a variety of different things going on and different textures, and it does look really good. You have this Perspex tray in your cage, which is excellent, but you haven't filled it barely up. Like, you have all of this space, like, use it, use it, use it. So I would recommend filling this up to like 2/3 of the way full, and that will give them a lot more to dig around in, and it will actually make your job easier because it's going to be less spelly and you don't have to change it out as much. But yeah, it's a really nice cage. Again, I don't really go for the colours, but the colours are really nice and it just looks good. And I would say you could sort of remove a couple of the hammocks and things, especially since you've only got 2 rats. You have a lot more space to give them things to do, and especially as they're very young, that would be really great for them. Okay, and this is the last cage, cage number 10. So cage number 10 is from Jess, and this is another lovely, lovely naturalistic setup that I absolutely adore. This is the Pet Planet rat and ferret cage, and it's got a 14-inch tic-tac wheel and the Perspex base. There's 11 dogs that live in this cage, and their names are Heidi, Harriet, Blossom, Willow, Morticia, Hera, Tula, Ember, Daisy, Ferdinand, and Laura. They have water bowls and bottles and are scatterfed. And you like to go for the naturalistic look. I really, really, really like the naturalistic look as well. So I really enjoy this. I see you have one of these like little orbs that they can hide in. I love the one that I have for my rats. And a nice wheel there at the back, and there's just lots of different types of branches and textures that are naturalistic. I love this big thick one here. I'm assuming you got this out of someone's garden or something like that, and this nice big Java one is really cool as well. There's just a lot of really nice cage accessories in here, and one hammock, one Spudnik, and there are a couple of, and this thing at the bottom that they can hide in, and my rats just like to sleep in the lift tray as well, so you've got that. Apologies for Maccabee, who is running on the wheel. I really need to tighten it. Yeah, like, I really enjoyed this cage, and thank you very much for sending it in. As you can tell, I liked it. I put it in the thumbnail. So yeah, those are all the cages that I am going to react to today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I think the cages that were sent to me were absolutely excellent. And yeah, thanks very much everyone for sending them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and subscribe and like and all that sort of stuff. And leave me a comment, all that stuff. And now I'm going to go and go and edit this video so I can put it up while I'm on holiday. Okay, bye.